Okay, we're now going to look at the speaker setup page, also known as the speaker declaration page. If you look at the top here, there's the box type icon. So if you click on that, that box is actually a 3D representation of your room and the layout of your speakers. If you look at the right here, we have a control panel, dimensions, where you can enter the actual dimensions of your room, and as you can see, as you change this, the dimensions in this graph changes too. So whatever your room dimensions may be, feel free to input them. This has no effect on the calibration at all. This is merely just a 3D representation of your room, so it will give you an idea of what your room looks like basically. And then you can also adjust your screen width as well. So feel free to input your measurements here, and it will give you an actual representation of your room and layout, depending on what layout you select, which we'll go over in a second. This other tab here is the monitoring tab. This is where if you activate it, you'll be able to look at the Dolby Atmos object viewer. This is one of the new features on the new firmware updates, which we'll go over shortly. So if we go back to the control panel here, you can move the actual 3D representation of your room and speaker layout left and right, up and down. You can either, you can have a bird's eye view if you like. The top, I like this view actually, and you can actually zoom in as well if you like. So we'll leave it at this view just to show. Another cool thing is, I'll just explain quickly that the green boxes here, they're actually the ear height level channels, so your bed channels. I have 7, so my configuration is a 7.8.8, so 7 ear level channels, 8 subwoofers and 8 height channels. I'll explain this quickly. So if you click on each box, it will actually highlight the panel below and it will show you exactly what speaker you're selecting. So if we click on this, you can see that's my left channel, and actually if you look here, it actually says it here as well. So that's my left channel and it says it here. That's my left channel, my center channel, my right channel, left surround, right surround, left rear surround, right rear surround, and please note also it has the functions of what the channel is recognized as when it's playing an Atmos, Dolby, or a 3D DTS:X or DTS soundtrack. It tells you the type of amplification, which is a mono amplification. You have the opportunity to add or remove parametric EQ. Also here where it says out, this is actually the number of output you have on your altitude where it goes into the power amplifier. So my let's have a look. My right surround channel is on output 5 of the altitude 32, and here you'll see here that if you click this, you'll be able to play pink noise through the speaker. So it's highlighted in pink now. Obviously there's no sound because I have mine on mute at the moment, but this is good. This is good to test each speaker before you do a calibration, just to confirm that the speakers are correctly connected and it's emitting sound, just to double check before you go ahead and do your calibration. So we've got the left rear surround and the right rear surround, and we got the left front height, the center height, the right front height, left top front, right top front, left top rear, right top rear, and the overhead channel. So if you look here, this is a good example. Dolby and Atmos don't actually recognize this channel. So when you're playing a Dolby Atmos movie, or if you have this channel installed, you're not going to hear anything coming out of it, because Dolby doesn't support this channel at the moment. Auro 3D records this as a top channel, top speaker, so above head channel, also known as voice of God. And DTSX and DTS does recognize this, and it's recorded as overhead channel. So the voice of God and overhead is exactly the same thing, but the Aura 3D calls this voice of God, and DTSX Pro, you'll have this as overhead channel. And obviously this little box here, this is a subwoofer. Now you might be wondering why I only have one subwoofer when I said I had 8 subwoofers, which is what I have. And the reason for that is I have external digital signal processing for my subwoofers, and I time align my subwoofers with the mini DSP, and there's no reason not to do it with the Altitude 32 or the 16, because the Trinnov does an absolutely fantastic job in both time delay and EQing the subwoofers. The only reason I do this is because I don't want to use 8 channels on my Altitude 32, and I'd like to just have one output from my Trinnov into the mini DSP, and I do my configuration and then hand it back over to the Altitude 32 to do the overall calibration of the whole system. So if we and that's why it will show one subwoofer as opposed to eight separate subwoofers. Now you may have 2 subwoofers, or you may have 4 subwoofers, and you might not have a lot of channels, height channels, and you may say, okay, well, I want to connect all of my subwoofers to the Trinnov, and that's absolutely fine. You can do that, and if you connected 4 subwoofers, you will have 4 separate subwoofers here. They'll all show at the front of the room, despite them not being at the front. You may have 2 at the front, 2 at the back, but they'll all show at the front of the room, and that's because this is simply a representation of the room, and it's not the actual, it's not what the optimizer actually looks at when it does the room correction. This is just for your information. If you click on the reset tab, the reset button, it will come back to the normal view of your 3D representation of the room. Another really cool feature in this menu is this small view button here. So if I click this, look what happens to the 3D representation of the room. It shrinks in size, and it gives you a much larger view of the speaker options, where you can do your settings for each individual speaker. There's also a set gain tab here, where you can set gain for each and every individual speaker you like. I'll just be a little bit careful here and mention that, if you apply too much gain or on your speakers, you could cause some damage to it. So just make sure you know what you're doing if you feel the need to adjust these settings. Mine's currently at 0. I don't really need to adjust these at all, but the option is there if you need to do so. Another thing I wanted to show you was the different speaker layouts you can select. So if we have a look at the initial layout, as I said previously, mine's a 7. My initial layout is actually a 7.1.4, but then I added my additional speakers, and I can show you how to do that here. So you'd start off with any layout you like. Actually, you've got the Aura 3D layout. You can select Atmos 5.1.4 if you like. You've got so many. You can even go with a stereo setup where you've got the left and right only. Say this is a stereo setup, and you've got the left speaker and the right speaker, and you wanted to add a subwoofer. So all you have to do is click on add speaker. You'd select mono, and you select add sub, and that will add 1 subwoofer there. So if you have 2 subwoofers connected, you can add speaker, mono again, and add sub again, and it will just keep adding the subs. If you have more subs, you can just keep adding them, and like I said earlier on, you'll have them at the front of your room. Despite them not being there, you might have 2 at the front, 2 at the back. We'll just add another one, and you see now you have 4. So this is just a representation of where the subwoofers are. It's not the actual layout of your room. And again, equally, if you wanted to remove any subwoofers or any speakers, you just click on them and simply click on remove speaker. and that will remove any speaker that you may not want. So if we go back to a 7.1.4 speaker, let's say so here we have the left top front, right top front, left top rear, and the right top rear. So let's say we wanted to add left top middle and right top middle speakers. So we'd go to add speaker, we go to Atmos, and we can select this speaker here. So if we select left top middle, says it here, left top middle, and add the speaker. So it says more than one possible speaker is selected in this view. Please select the one you would like to add. So left top middle, and we select that, and it says to use left top middle in Atmos narrow configuration, the following speaker is mandatory: right top middle. Do you want to add the associated speaker? So you click yes. So now what that's done is added both left top middle and right top middle, and depending on what output that is on your altitude 16 or 32, you can select whichever channel you have and select the appropriate output channel. Okay, so if we go back to reset, that's pretty much the basic use of this menu here. We have a small information tab here where you can have a read through, and it gives you some advice on the speaker layout, setup guidelines for each configuration, DTS, Aura 3D and Dolby. And that's pretty much it for this menu. One more thing I forgot to mention on the previous tab, actually on all tabs you can do this. If you look at the top right here, you can see where it says presets, and if you click that, it will give you the opportunity to select any preset you have on the fly. We'll look at presets later on, but just note that there is the option there to do that also.